Jesus is reminding us, he's saying, hey, you self-sufficient person out there that thinks you don't need God, that you don't think there's any crisis in your life, you don't think there's any need to get yourself up out of bed and to worship God, to serve him, to share that message with others, that you think you got enough in the bank, that you think you got your health pretty much in order. You're going to go to your baseball games and your different things and your different events. He goes, this is what you need to understand. You're not as well off as you think. You're not as self-sufficient as you think you are. Hello, everyone, once again, and welcome to the Audacious Faith Podcast. This is episode 89. We've got a lot in the books, and we've got more to deal with today. I want to ask you, what would it be like if you thought that you were wealthy and you found out that you actually weren't? What would it be like if you went places thinking that you were fully clothed and you found out that you were actually naked? Wouldn't that be weird? You know, what would it be like to be so deceived that we thought everything was great? In reality, it wasn't. Blinded by our own delusions. I don't know if this describes your life, but I know it does describe a church that Jesus talked about. And I think that there are a lot of similarities to where we are in the United States today, if you're watching it from the U.S. or wherever you are around the world, possibly when it comes to where many people are today, when it comes to the relationship with Jesus. I want to look in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, a very famous church, the church of Laodicea. And Jesus said, he says, write this letter to the angel or the messenger of the church in Laodicea. This is the message from the one who is the Amen, the faithful and true witness, the beginning of God's new creation. Now, what is it that he says? He says, I know all the things that you do, that you are neither hot nor cold. I wish that you were one or the other. Now, what does this mean? Jesus is saying, look, I'm taking a look at you and I don't see a spiritual heat for me. I don't see a spiritual fervor. I could not say, I will not say that when I see you, you are on fire for God. It's just not there. Let me ask you, are you on fire for God? Many of us know that's not the case. We know of God, possibly. We talk of God. We refer to God. We try to kind of live for God. But are we on fire for God? That's a very valid question today. He says, I wish that you were hot or cold. You're neither one. I wish you were one or the other. So we're not completely cold either. We have a form of righteousness, a form of spirituality, but we're right in the middle. He says, but since you are like lukewarm water, neither hot nor cold, I will spit you out of my mouth. I don't know if you've ever, I have these memories of going to the park when I was a little kid, and you know they have those park water fountains. We like going in office buildings, right, where they have those water fountains that are kind of refrigerated, yeah, and we kind of push the button. You can even hear the refrigeration, and nice cold water comes out, right? Or maybe you've been in those water coolers where it has like a blue tab and it has a red tab, and you can have one or the other. You either are getting cold, you're getting hot, and you know which one you're getting, and there's a purpose for either one. But what's weird is if you get to the one where there's a blue tab, there's a red tab, and in the middle there's a white tab, which is kind of like supposed to be like room temperature water. Most people would choose either the blue or the hot one, right? We want to have one or the other. And Jesus says, I'll spit you out of my mouth. In other words, he says, that kind of faith, that kind of fervor for me nauseates me to the fact that I would literally, like if you were at that park and you have that drinking fountain that just kind of has like, water in it. The temperature is kind of a little bit warmish, lukewarm on a warm day. It's never really cold. It's just kind of gross. I mean, we do it because it's better than nothing, but that's about it. And sometimes it tastes nasty and we literally spit it out. And that's what Jesus says. If we have a type of faith, if we have a type of relationship with him that I've seen in too many people, including myself often, that's just kind of lukewarm. He says, this is why this is the case. You say, these are some of the things we say, I'm rich. I have everything I want. I don't need a thing. I see a lot of people walk into church every week like that, or I see a lot of people not walk into church every week like that because they don't feel that they need anything. They're pretty much taken care of. I've had people that come to church when they're kind of getting, their life straightened out. And then after a little while, they've been there for a while, and then they're not there, and I check on them, and I'll get, like, where are you? And I'll get weird messages back. I'll tell you some of the messages I get back. Oh, we really thank you. It really helped us get our faith kind of in order and helped us to work on some things, and we'll just be forever grateful. And we're just kind of working on ourselves right now. It's like, hello, did you not realize that getting things right with God and everything is what started getting things on the right track? Now you just kind of, there's kind of like, I kind of got this. I'm kind of in a better place now. I'm rich. I don't need anything. People will come when all of a sudden they want prayer because their life is in crisis and there's something out of control and someone's sick and all of a sudden there's a prayer request. I find people all the time that'll come to me for a wedding or a funeral or use a facility when they were going somewhere else and not even coming here. But when they know that they need something, all of a sudden that's when they come back. Otherwise, they have no use for it when they're self-sufficient. We have a very lackadaisical, lukewarm spirituality today that when everything is going okay, we're like, oh, yeah, I don't need anything. And Jesus says, hey, here's the problem. This is what you don't realize, he says, that you're actually wretched. You're actually miserable. You're poor. You're blind. And you're naked. Wouldn't that be crazy? To walk in a room and suddenly find out, hey, wait a minute, you're not as good as you thought you were. To walk in a room and find out that, wait a minute, you thought you had a lot, but in reality, you're poor. To walk in a room and to think that you were seeing and realize all of a sudden that actually you weren't seeing anything. You were very blind when it came to seeing spiritual things, that you thought you were very well clothed and all of a sudden look down and realize that you were naked. Remember the story of Adam and Eve? They're walking in the garden, and suddenly when the light of their sinfulness and everything came to them, they suddenly realized what? That they were naked. It was the first thing that they realized when they understood their sin. Jesus is reminding us, he's saying, hey, you self-sufficient person out there that thinks you don't need God. Hey, you, the person out there that thinks you got everything together. That you don't think there's any crisis in your life. You don't think there's any need to get yourself up out of bed and to worship God, to serve him, to share that message with others. That you think you got enough in the bank. That you think you got, your health pretty much in order. You're going to go to your baseball games and your different things and your different events. He goes, this is what you need to understand. He goes, you're not as well off as you think you are. You're not as self-sufficient as you think you are. He says, verse 18, he says, I advise you. This is what you should do. Buy gold from me. Buy that which is most pure so that you have true riches. Riches that are in heaven, treasures that are in heaven. Those are the things that are worth things, right? Gold that has been purified by the fire, he says. Then you'll be rich. He goes, also buy white garments from me so that you will not be shamed by your nakedness. In other words, come to him and ask for the purity that comes from the word. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God, Jesus said. He says, an ointment for your eyes, spiritual ointment for your eyes, that you will actually truly be able to see. Because we're blind and we don't realize it. Now, it sounds pretty harsh, but Jesus tells us why he's saying these things. Verse 19, he says, I correct and discipline everyone that I love. So be diligent and turn from your indifference. He's telling us this is a warning. With everything that's going on in the world right now, and everyone is just kind of like, the world's going crazy. We see signs of the times happening in the Middle East, lots of different things happening, and most people are still worried about whether they can get an appointment to get their nails done this week. It's like, hello, we're just like totally not getting this. The Bible tells us to look up for your redemption draweth nigh. Make sure you're sharing the message. Make sure people know, because the time is coming, and most are not affected whatsoever. It's like, well, my life is still okay. Nothing's happened to me. Everything's all right. I'm good. I'm good. No, wake up, he's telling us. Wake up And he's disciplining us and he's telling us these things because he loves us. So he says, be diligent right now and turn. Turn from this indifference that is happening in your heart right now. I wish sometimes that I could just put my hands around my own neck and say, would you wake up? Would you give yourself completely? And I wish that I could do it to you. I know that sounds like a threat, but I would love to just be able to wake people up from their indifference. That's what Jesus is telling us right here. Verse 20, he gives us this invitation. He says, look, I am standing at the door and I knock. If you hear my voice, he says, open the door. I will come in. We'll share a meal together as friends. Those who are victorious will sit with me on my throne, just as I was victorious and sat with my Father on the throne. Anyone with ears to hear must listen to the Spirit and understand what he is saying to the churches. What is he saying to you? What is he saying to you? He's saying, look, I'm standing at the door. I'm ready to come in. Open the door to me, and I'm ready to have complete fellowship, intimate fellowship with you. That's the relationship that God wants to have with every single one of us. All right? It's not that he's not there. It's not that he's not willing. It's that often we're leaving him outside. We've got everything going on inside. He's standing at the door. He's even knocking. We're like, do you hear something? Do you hear? Oh, no, not right now. It's not Sunday yet. It's not Wednesday night yet. It's not that particular time of the week when I have it. It's not the 10 minutes that maybe I have a devotion in the morning. No, he's knocking on the door right now. And he's saying, look, I want to have a part of every part of your life. Quit compartmentalizing me and having a lukewarm faith, and let's have one that is hot, one that's on fire, one that's transformative, one that not only transforms your life, but transforms the world by what people see happening in your life around you. It'll be an amazing thing, an amazing difference of what would happen if we gave ourselves completely to the Lord and quit being so indifferent. I welcome your opinions as always. Please message me at jgothier@gmail.com or jgothier on Facebook or Instagram. Your comments, positive or negative, are fine, and I trust you. Trust me when I tell you that I will respond. God bless you. I look forward to sharing with you in the future. This has been the Audacious Faith Podcast. See you next time.